A very good morning to all of you. Welcome to today's news analysis. We are doing the Indian Express papers, Chandigarh edition. Now, before starting, I would like to tell you the schedule for our channel. So, first of all, I'll be sharing with you news analysis. Right. So, news analysis, our analysis have been like 40-50 minutes. I want to keep it at 15 to 20 minutes where I give you an overview. Then I am sharing MCQs, which is focusing on the pre aspect. So there are certain other things which the newspaper still does not cover. So that is covered from the MCQs telegram from different sources. So which is a holistic coverage. Detailed topics, we see that the topics keep getting repeated. So detailed topic coverage, let's say a topic in 10, 12 minutes, it will be covered through this. And then we are going to start with our guidance program. So overview as to what all things have to be done. Then we can share as to these are the questions that have to be attempted for prelims as well as mains. So comprehensive coverage would be done. So this is my agenda from this channel right now. Okay, now coming to the news analysis. So starting with the first this thing, that is the topics that we have. I have already shared with you on the Telegram. So we are again dealing with the issue of governor withholding bills, regulations with respect to the deep fakes. There is one on the front page and also in the economy section. So here also it is covered. Then this is the editorial opinion section. We get to know some of the key takeaways with APEC. And one more thing, Prime Minister Modi was praying at Mathura temple. He refers to Nayanars, Alvars and others. Right? These are all important for your prelims, to some extent even the mains paper. So I'll give you an insight as to how to study it. Okay. So front page. Oh, by the way, before the front page, we have the international section. So humanitarian pause starts in Gaza. So this we already know yesterday that this will start. And this humanitarian pause has been successful because of the negotiations done by the US. Qatar has, it has the support of the Arab bloc as well as the leaders of the Hamas group. Some of them are residing in Qatar. So this and Egypt. If you look at the map of Israel and Palestine, Gaza, so south of Gaza is Egypt, and Egypt is affected by the violence that is taking place because the refugees from Gaza are coming into Egypt. And Egypt, by the way, is an Arab country. Moving on, in Dutch, we have a Dutch Trump. Like this person actually looks like Trump, and his politics is expected to be just like Donald Trump of USA. So what it holds for the Dutch economy is mentioned for the Dutch people. It's mentioned in the explainer section. I'm not covering. Normally, far right people talk against economic, globalization, national interests. So those are the ways in which the politics is going to go forward. And he does look like Donald Trump. Okay. A matter of concern for all of us. China sees spike in illness and pneumonia cases. Pneumonia is basically chronic lung infection. It affects when your alveoli or small air sacs are affected. That is the time you have pneumonia. So pneumonia is invariably happens if you have a illness. For example, if you had COVID-19 in a very chronic situation, it will become pneumonia. If you had SARS and any other disease also, that may also lead to pneumonia. So pneumonia is being diagnosed suddenly. So WHO now seeks more information because even when the COVID-19 started, the first cases were actually reported as pneumonia and not COVID-19. In fact, in India also deaths were attributed to pneumonia and not COVID-19, if you remember. Okay. Hitler was born in this place, this building known as Brno am Inn. This is now going to be a police station in Austria. Okay, coming to the front page now. So Uttarkashi tunnel rescue, we await the rescue of the people who are trapped inside. Okay, they may be they may have to be crawled through this, or they may come out in stretchers. Maybe that would be done. Okay. Next is several states, non-BJP states, which includes Punjab, Kerala, Tamil Nadu. They have approached the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is also the federal court with regards to the interference of the governor. And more importantly, the governor is not taking any action on the bills passed by the state legislative assemblies. Only with these states we are having this problem. So if you look at the polity, so there is an Article 200 which stipulates as to when a bill comes that the governor has to the governor has the power to withhold assent. He has to give his assent or withhold assent. So the powers about what the governor does with the bill comes from Article 200. Okay. Now, to be fair, there is no timeline set as to what time the governor must take action. But it is well understood that when a bill comes to the governor, he has to take an action. So, with this regard, the Supreme Court has given, strong words. So they have expressed concerns about it, and they said that uh, the governor must take action, even if he has to withhold a bill or withhold his assent. Then also it has to be action has to be taken on that course. Must mandatorily follow the course of action. So let's see what really comes out eventually. So as of now, we know this only, and in fact, in the previous news also, this thing was only there. Okay. Next, we have prevention of money laundering ED matter. So there is a Supreme Court. There was a case in 2022. In 2022, known as Vijay Mandal Chaudhary versus Union of India. In this case, the petitioners challenged the power of Enforcement Directorate to make arrests. That they are not police, they don't have the powers to arrest. Plus, obviously, concerns about the misuse of powers by the ED. Okay, so in 2022, the ED said, okay, fine. ED said arrest, they can arrest, can make arrests. 20 come to the present times. Again, it has gone to the Supreme Court to review this case, to review this judgment. So yesterday we said that this previous ruling was given by a 3-judge bench. This now should be extended to 5-judge bench. Right. Now the bench that was listening that it should be reviewed by a senior bench, by a bigger judge bench. So that has been dissolved for the time being, and a new bench would be formed. Okay, next, very important, please, important. Deepfake ads with celebrities raise red flags. So deepfakes, you all know what deepfakes are, right? Superimposing the photo of another person, which looks very real in a video form, or it could be even in the photo form. So this is going on in sometimes. Rashmika Bandana case had also happened. Okay. Now advertisements are also coming up. So government says this is risky and something needs to be done. So previously, when I was researching this, we came across these three pillars of deep fake regulation, or in fact, any regulation. This was from Canada actually. So there were these 3 steps: prevention, detection, response. So first of all, prevent these deep fakes to take place. If it is posted, detect it. And lastly, take response on it. Today, when I was going through the economy section, they said, so there are 4 pillars which the minister said, and these 3 points remain the same. The last point was awareness. So now we have the 4 pillars of deep fake regulation. right? So 4 pillars are there. This is exactly what you can write in your answer writing. And when you write, you can write, okay, fine, prevention. And with next to prevention, you can expand, elaborate by stating, this could be by imposing restrictions on posting, maybe by bringing in a law which can prove as a deterrence, right? So that could be there. With regards to detection, we have heard about the provision of watermarking content generated by AI, so people know. And the other thing could be, which has actually happened, is Indian government has approached social media giants uh, to provide, if somebody has posted a content, so the first person who has posted that content, that could be traced. So traceability. So the provision of traceability should be there. So watermarking and traceability will help detection. And lastly, response. If somebody is seen to, post wrongful content, particularly with bad intentions, then in that case, of course, the response should be take legal action, uh, tell the social media companies to take down the content. So all those things. I think there are two responses only that are possible over here. Right. So these points are fairly important. You can use it. Now let's quickly again revisit this. So when you are writing, you need to prepare a definition on deepfakes. What is it? The concerns associated, and then what regulatory steps or what are the suggested measures. And just last thing, the government should come up with a standard operating procedure which should be disclosed with the different stakeholders. So that should be there. Okay. So yesterday, the first Supreme woman judge of the Supreme Court passed away. Right. So what was the name? Justice Fatima Bibi. So I think that's it. That's sufficient for us. Okay. Now, if you look at this topic over here, so first woman judge can be there. First woman judge overall can be there. So this is for Supreme Court. Overall, the first woman judge, first woman advocate. So you can work on these lines. It's easy to find, right? I have not mentioned it, but another class I had taken there, I had mentioned it. So in those angle, you can work. Prime Minister Modi prays at Mathura temple, and yeah, he mentions that in South there is the Alvar saints and the Nayanar saints, while there are acharyas like Ramanujacharya, Shankaracharya, right, Vallabhacharya. So there are acharyas, and then we have in the north Tulsidas, Surdas, Kabirdas, Ravidas. So and Punjab we have Guru Nanak, Bengal we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Assam, we have Shankara Deva, on which a question was asked. Main space question, 250 words. So that is a good hint as to how we should prepare. So first of all, we have already been asked questions on Nayanars and the text written by them. And Nayanars and Alvars, if you look at the 7th NCRT, there it is mentioned. Right, these important saints, their compositions are mentioned, which must be covered. Now, you will not have time, so let me tell you. Go to this Wikipedia page, come to Nayanars. Nayanars basics, you should know that it literal meaning is hounds of Shiva. Right, they're a group of 63 Tamil Hindu saints, again associated with Lord Shiva. And three foremost Nayanars are important. That is Apar, Sundarar, Sambandar, and Manikava Sagar. So these these are known as, within Nayanars there is Nal Var, which means the four. Now these exact names you have to recall. There is no option before you, and they can ask you any of these in the prelims paper. Now there is a very important detailed work known as Tevaram. So Tevaram, and Tevaram is again associated with Lord Shiva. So this is an important text composed by the Nayanar saints. And one more thing, and important literary works again you must have with you over here. Now coming to the Alvars, that's associated with somebody who is literally means immersed in the worship of Lord Vishnu. Okay. Again, the concept of getting your being immersed in something, it's actually bhakti. And the Nayanars and the Alvars are like the precursors of the bhakti movement. Here again, it is mentioned they were the catalyst behind the bhakti movement. Now, again, you should know the important saints. Plus, there is a mention of the term Divya Desams. This is the 108 divine realms of deities. It's basically the important temples associated with Lord Vishnu. So that is there. And besides, the compositions of Alvars compiled together, they are also known as the Tamil Veda. Right. So the collection of their hymns is known as the Nalayar Divya Prabandham. So all of them compiled together is known as the fifth or Tamil Veda. Then, of course, you must study Ramanujacharya as mentioned, but we have had the unveiling of the statue of Shankaracharya also, right? Then the works Tulsidas, Surdas, all those have to be prepared. Yesterday, I told you that we have to prepare Mirabai also. I think someday we'll have to do an analysis on Yoga Day also, yoga overall. Okay. Now coming to same-sex marriage verdict, right? Supreme Court recently declared that same-sex marriage cannot take place. It is the domain of the parliament, the legislature. Now, the petitioners against, are now challenging this verdict, and they say that when the challenge is heard, it should be done in the open court. Obviously, it concerns the society at large. It should be done in the open court. So that's all we have over here. And they have identified some flaws with the judgment. So that would be heard now. That may be heard. Okay. Coming to the editorial opinion page. So first article that we're covering is reading foreign direct investment. Please read this line. Given that India could be beneficiary of China plus one strategy, policymakers must pay closer attention to investment trends. Okay, so first of all, what is China plus one strategy? So you can imagine any company like Tesla, you can Apple, etc. So all of them over the years they are based out of China. But in the recent years, because of China's capital controls, uh, the waning of the Chinese economy, or which some people say it is overestimated, then also with respect to the issue of COVID and the anti-China sentiment, plus the Taiwan possibility of a Taiwan conflict, companies have felt that they need to look at alternative arrangement also. They say that we cannot go completely out of China because there is a very good global supply chain that is established over here, but we need to look at an alternative. So that is plus one. And that plus one could be India. And I say could be India because there are other countries which are better placed actually, like Vietnam, Philippines, so Laos. So those countries are better placed because they are part of the RCP, etc. So that could be there. Okay. Now, at a time when we're talking about China plus one strategy, obviously we should have more FDI coming into India, right? Apple, etc., looking at alternatives to China. So we should have more investments coming to India. So it is in that context. So it says that if we look at the FDI figures over here, 2021-22 FDI figures touched a high of $84.8 billion. You should have a reference point also. If in mains you have been asked such a question, you should have some facts ready. In the present year, it has fallen down to $71 billion, 16% down. Okay. Then again, recently, September this year, FDI equity flows has increased. Okay. Okay, fine. So FDI is on the upside, basically. long story cut short, if we have more FDI previous year, maybe it will have a bearing on the next year. It may happen. Okay. Now it says if we look at the composition of the FDI, it is coming down in the computer software and hardware sector. We want electronics manufacturing, but it is actually coming down. So from $14.4 billion, it has come down to $9.3 billion. Likewise, construction and infrastructure activities, again, the FDI has come down. Metallurgical industries also, it again, eventually it will move into manufacturing sector. So that has also come down from 2.2 billion to 219 million, which is very, very low. It's 1/10. Okay. While we are seeing an uptick in these regions, financial service sector, basically financial, banking, insurance, outsourcing, research, development, then chemicals other than fertilizers, and drugs and pharmaceuticals. Now again, drugs and pharmaceuticals, if you break the composition, the core part would be still going to China. So this is a matter of concern, right? So at a time when we are looking at this China plus one strategy, etc., we should be mindful at looking at the composition of the FDI. That is the theme of this article. Next, resilience amid turmoil. So whose resilience? Resilience means, you've got a setback and your ability to stand up again. So resilience of the Indian economy amid the turmoil. The turmoil is that of the world economy. China is facing a problem. One second. Okay, yes, we have it over here. China is facing a problem. US is facing inflationary issues. UK is facing interest rate hikes are taking place in those countries. Capital outflow is happening. So even then, we are experiencing stability. So India's global standing has been bolstered by its macroeconomic financial stability. Right. So first part tells us about the issues overall. Then it says the near-time projections. So it says that yes, all these risks India is able to do well, but now oil prices need to be carefully watched. If the oil prices go up, it will not be good for the country. And at the moment, OPEC plus leaders, please look up OPEC now. OPEC plus leaders want to review production targets, which is normally when OPEC leaders meet, they decide to cut down on production. So when they cut down on production, the supply of oil comes down, thereby the price goes up. External demand environment will remain feeble. It will not be good. So if external demand is less, India's exports will be less. So it doesn't bode well for the Indian economy. Then with general elections coming up, the private sector has this wait and watch mode. Right? They are waiting for the election outcome and then they will decide how they want to proceed. So those are the things. And further, he says that monetary and fiscal policy must go hand in hand. Okay, next article. This is about the collegium system, right? So, and the APEC process in collegium. So first of all, basically there are concerns associated with the system of collegium. Collegium is the system of appointment of the judges at the moment. So let us look at the brief history, how it goes, and then some of the things that are mentioned in the newspaper. Article 124 of the Constitution provides for appointment of judges. And it says the appointment is to be done by the president, judges in the higher courts. So it is to be done by the president on the consultation of the Chief Justice of India. Now, it was felt that the consultation is there of the president, but consultation with the CGI is there, but the president may disagree also. So this was challenged, and there were these three judges case: first judge case, second judge case, and third judge case. Overall, it was decided that the consultation with the CGI basically means concurrence with the CGI. What CGI says, that has to be done by the president. And later on, it was felt that it should not be merely one person. Tomorrow, it may happen that the government may have their own preferable CGI, so that may be an issue. So it should be expanded to 4 members. So collegium was formed, which was comprising of the Chief Justice of India plus 4 members. So instead of CGI, now we have CGI plus 4, and they advise the president, or their concurrence is there for the president to appoint a particular judge to the higher courts. Okay. Now the issue with this thing is collegium is that it is non-transparent. It is non-transparent. We do not know the criteria of appointing and transfer of the judges. From time to time, concerns have been expressed over non-transparency and lack of accountability. 2 cases are mentioned over here. Recently, on the retirement farewell speech of former Allahabad High Court Chief Justice, he said that he was transferred abruptly to Chhattisgarh, from Chhattisgarh to Allahabad High Court. So he was abruptly, so that he is put into trouble, right? To give him a punishment, something like that. He's not stating it, but it is a sarcastic statement that has been made. Likewise, there is Justice Sanjeev Banerjee who has made a similar remark. So they have expressed concerns about the way the transfers and the appointments are made. Okay. Now, in this context, the government is also conscious of this. Even the courts are, the collegium itself is conscious of this. So the Parliament, they came up with this amendment act known as the NJAC Act, National Judicial Appointments Commission Act. So this thing came up, wherein the executive and judiciary would collectively decide as to the appointments and transfers of the judges. This was struck down by the Supreme Court on the grounds that it violates the basic structure of the constitution. It violates the principle of independence of the judiciary because executive is taking a part. And there was also concerns about the membership of the NJAC, the NJAC body. And post striking it down, the Supreme Court agreed that there is a problem with this system of collegium. So they said that till the time there is nothing, collegium system will continue, and the government and the courts will frame the memorandum of procedure as to how the judges would be appointed, transferred, etc. Okay, engaging with APEC. So APEC meeting took place in San Francisco. This statement is known as the Golden Gate Summit because there is a famous Golden Gate Bridge over there. Now, what are the key takeaways of this APEC meeting? So APEC, first of all, is an economic bloc. It comprises of the Asia Pacific country. Right, so that is there. So you can imagine the ring of Pacific. So those countries are there. Okay. So it is now, I'll go with the points over here. So it is the first time in 12 years that US has hosted APEC. So suddenly APEC has grown into prominence because of in fact, over the years, since preparing for UPSC, then teaching also, I've not really heard of APEC over the years. Okay, so APEC, so 12 years, US has hosted it. That is in San Francisco. And it so happens that in this meeting, US President Biden and Xi were expected to meet. Right, so this meeting is taking place after a year's time period. So Biden-Xi meeting took place. Then we have Xi Kishida meeting, Japanese Prime Minister, and then even Taiwan was there in this meeting. And it is the biggest platform for Taiwan to participate, international platform. And again, Chinese side is also there. So one by one, so Xi, Biden, what were the key takeaways? So President Biden says that when it comes to dealing with China, we are not decoupling with it, but we are de-risking. We are looking at alternatives. For example, the China +1 strategy. And why is Xi talking to Biden suddenly? Xi is concerned with the China's state of affairs, economy, and it wants to draw investors back into China post the COVID restrictions that took place, the Taiwan issue. So a lot of people from the US, outflow has taken place. So woo investors back into China. That's saying that is attractive, political stability is there, all those things. Coming to Z Kishida meeting, so possibly they are going to talk about restrictions on semiconductors. There were tensions between the two. China has the power with respect to supply semiconductors. The raw materials are found easily over there. So they put restrictions on Japan getting semiconductors. They have a border dispute also going on, so they did this. Now, as to Taiwan, it was expected to raise the issue of the Chinese incursions and all, the Chinese interference, but their main focus was that how Taiwan could be included in the comprehensive Pacific Trans-Partnership. One second. Comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. So Taiwan's inclusion into this. Now here it says that now UK has also been added. Now UK is not a Pacific nation, nothing to do with Pacific, but UK has also become a member of the CPTPP. In short, we call it as the TPP also. That is Trans-Pacific Partnership. So that's it. And lastly, there is now, if you look at the region over here as a whole, so there is this APEC, there is CPTPP, and now we have the IPEF negotiations that are going on. So this is a supply chain, resiliency, clean energy, anti-corruption measure. There are 4 pillars in this. The pillar of trade is being negotiated. India is not part of this. And we can complete this by talking about the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, which is basically a counter from the Chinese side to the CPTPP, because China is not part of this initiative. Here, US is not part of the initiative. Okay, so that's all. Now, as to the APEC is concerned, from Prelims, was reading about it. There is a very important Seoul Declaration when it comes to the genesis of the APEC, and Seoul Declaration basically provides the governance structure for the APEC. Coming to the economy section, oil prices 82, 83, US dollar 83, right? Okay. RBI tightening norms. We have been hearing about this issue. So previously, it was reported that the banks, particularly, they are going into this lending exuberance, excitement into lending activities to earn more money. But lending is being done to, in such cases where, unsecured loans are increasing. So this was the financial risks. So it is obviously risky to give unsecured loans. So RBI has tightened the nose. RBI has said that if you are doing this, then capital assets that are required to be held with the bank, it has to be increased. The reserve requirement has increased. So with the increased reserve requirements, of course, the banks will have to have more money, and thereby it will be discouraged to give unsecured loans. So bankers are putting the blame on the NBFC sector for having more exposure to small unsecured loans. That's it. Net oil and gas imports get cheaper due to lower international price. I keep finding it at $83 per barrel, right? Now they're saying it has come down. Fine. It has come down. They're saying so. Center will soon issue regulations to tackle deepfakes, says the IT minister. There are 4 pillars, as we said: detection, prevention. I don't know. It should be prevention, detection, and lastly, it should be response. And after response, it is awareness. So there are these 4 pillars. Coming to the explained section now. Just this one we have to do how the IRRA platform, a trapeze net for investors, will work. Okay. So when people invest in stock markets, sometimes it happens that while making a trade, the platform doesn't work. For example, Zerodha has had a lot of issues. HDFC Securities, whichever broker you are trading with. So let's say investor, broker, tech broker nowadays, and broker connects you with the stock markets. Let's say Bombay Stock Exchange, NSE, all those, it connects you with this. Okay. So sometimes you want to make a trade, and at that time the portal is not working, some due to some tech issue or due to overload, whatever reason. So the investor is sometimes stuck and they lose a lot of money, especially when it comes to this options and futures trading, trading in derivative markets. So now SEBI has launched a new portal known as Investor Risk Reduction Access. Right, so they have come up with this new portal, Investor Risk Reduction Access. And what this basically says is, let's say this platform doesn't work, then in that case, the investor can log on to this thing and can take the pending decision, buying, selling, whatever they are about to do, they can do it from here. See, he looks like Donald Trump, a Dutch new prime minister, new prime minister. Okay, how farm fires are counted. So basically, they're counted through satellite imagery. And first thing, like when they say paddy fire, stubble burning from paddy fire is taking place. So there again, they know, so from this again from space only. So they know first which all areas paddy cultivation is taking place, because paddy has a different reflectance signature, and then they see the where burning is taking place. Sometimes if ashes would be there, so it will be darker, and then they overlay the image with the paddy cultivation, and from there they know. They are using NASA based satellites known as they're using NASA based satellites. These satellites are there, VIIRS about the NPP satellite, then MODIS about the Terra and Aqua satellites. So all NASA satellites are being used. And this organization, known as Consortium for Research on Agro-Ecosystem Monitoring and Modeling from Space, CREAMS, is being used. This works under the IARI.